Good evening, and welcome to a late night edition of Diatribes from the voice of doom. And now here's your upbeat and rather pleased for a change voice of doom. All right, thank you, Mr. Announcer. The lunch went well, and we're back on speaking terms, but I feel good today on a number of levels. I feel good because I won, and I feel good because I got a paycheck coming in tomorrow, and I feel good because I have been not drinking too much alcohol because I'm giving plasma, and you can't drink before you give plasma, and basically I planned on doing it Wednesday, so I didn't drink on Tuesday, and then I didn't do it Wednesday, and then I planned on doing it Thursday, which was today, and so I didn't drink yesterday. And so I decided I'm going to do it tomorrow, and so I didn't drink today. So I'm kind of not as slurry and sloppy, but I'll probably not be as interesting because the little edge, little bit of lubricant helps the old tongue with the glibness. But I am upbeat because I saw something today that actually made my heart soar a bit, because I saw a civil rights icon, a hero of the underclass, many, many years has been selflessly putting himself out on the front lines of every civil rights issue. I mean, every minority, I don't care what color they are, I don't care if they're from Mongolia or they're a Uyghur, they owe the Reverend, the very high and holy Reverend Al Sharpton, in very high esteem. And it was a shame to see him wallow in a quagmire and swamp of irrelevance, and it was a shame to see his legacy just get buried in 5 minutes. A lifetime of devotion ruined in 5 minutes, and I was eulogizing him, and then I thought how nice it is to see that. It's one of the best things I've seen on YouTube. In fact, someone should get a Pulitzer Prize for that footage of that reporter in their face. Now, this reporter is going to be a hero. He is going to be huge. He's made his future forever. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not going to be very long, but he's going to be big, because this guy, you don't want to fool with this guy. He went up to another big guy and said, "Hey, I don't give a crap. We don't want your crap here." And so I will explain what the crap was and how I fell for it at a certain point in my life, and I can talk about this. I was really excited to do a diatribe. Didn't write a damn thing down. I will tell you that I voted for the Reverend Jesse Jackson for president, and the year was our Lord of the Year 1980. Was it 80 or 84? Might have been. There's a Democratic primary going on, so it must have been 84. And I think I was in LA. No, I was in Hawaii. I'm getting confused. Maybe it was in the 90s. I voted for him because I felt like I always voted for the third candidate. I never voted for main party, Democrat, Republican. I always voted third party. And I always wanted other people to have a chance. And I believed in Jackson because he, you could see the poverty, and you could see the oppression, and you could see the, not having the same opportunity. And I felt like he was really working for the downtrodden. I won't say minorities anymore, because the whole term is becoming kind of irrelevant. There's no real there's no majority anymore. Said he says his throats because of cultural and communication differences, but we'll get back to that later. I want to talk about this Jackson guy. Now, I was a liberal up until around 92 or 3. I know I liked Clinton when he was elected. I thought he was cool, and I knew nothing. And I really got tired of knowing nothing because I knew I had a brain, but I didn't really get into, you know, economics and politics and how that all works. And I worked at a bookstore, and somehow I stumbled across different books, and it was a technical bookstore. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to work there because I would be too busy reading all the time, and I'd never work. And they'd fire me. But it was a technical bookstore, and I had no interest in computer books and, satellite configurations and all the things we sold that really built the world. I did way more to build the internet than that Gore guy. And I know it for a fact because I watched it being built and I sold the guys the books that built it. So there's your proof. I don't just talk. Anyway, when I decided I was stupid, I wanted to know about things heavier, and I saw books that came and went, and I've read some books, and I learned a lot. I learned that Clinton was nothing to be proud of by any means, and I learned that the whole Democratic Party was nothing to be proud of because I looked at the deficits, and I decided, what is a deficit? Okay, they spent more than they take in. Well, they were borrowing, they take out the Social Security, they're spending us to death. I have books about we should have been bankrupt years ago, but we've managed to keep this magic carpet ride going. Walking across a cliff and you don't look down, so you keep walking in midair. But I got wise, and then when I heard Larry, I went, wait a minute, yeah, these guys that are civil rights heroes and advocates, they're doing the wrong thing. They're doing the opposite. They're exacerbating the situation. They're making victims out of people instead of trying to help them really, get economically on top of things. And the first thing you have to do is you got to get them to want to do it. And I'm not talking them like, yeah, you people. I'm saying everybody. Wealth is for them that wants it. I learned that a long time ago from Gang of Four. Not from China, but the band. You want to be wealthy, then be wealthy. And if you're in the slums, then get out of the slums. Like Dr., whatever his name is, Ben Carson. I'm off the top of my head. I didn't write anything down. I'm getting to the civil rights workers, the heroes. Sharpton, I never liked. He always had a bad haircut, kind of like mine now, but I like the way I wear it. But he always looked weird. He was overweight with the long hair, and he's probably a transgender for sure. But now he's old, and he's only 66. He looks really old. He looks worn. But both of them shook down businesses. They said, give us money to our foundation or we're going to make a big brouhaha and call you racist and you're going to be in the papers. We had papers back then that we read. It was kind of weird. So I realized after listening to Larry that I really hated Sharpton because I really watched what he was doing carefully after that. And I watched the Reverend Jesse, who was there when the Reverend Martin got shot, and I still have my suspicions about how that went down. I'm not going to say anything about that. But even Luther King's son isn't sure that it all was litigated properly. And I don't put anything past anybody because they can fool you. And if you want to see the effects, why things are happening now, look at the causes in the past. So I don't see either of these two having their golden years be happy and feeling like they really accomplished a lot. I think they can safely say they did a hell of a lot of fucking damage, both of them. They don't know they did. They're delusional. But everybody is now knowing they did because people are saying you're a racist. And it's like, well, I'm Chinese and freaking Hispanic. And my parents are from Mexico and I got a grandfather from China. And you're calling me a racist. And it's like, what is it anymore? It's a stupid word. It's losing its power. And we're going to see it tomorrow and the next day because you have to hunt for this footage. It's going to be all over the news in a day or two, all over, because this guy was big and he was powerful and he was lambasted, and I loved it. It was one of the best things I've ever seen because this guy deserved it. It's about freaking time that finally people say no, and I've said we got to start saying no and not accepting it anymore, and they're doing it, and I'm loving it, and I wish it had happened 20 years ago. Because now it's going to happen. Now you see it's going to happen. The dike, the finger, whatever. That's the first chink is when this guy, Sharpton, gets absolutely massacred. Absolutely massacred. And when they try to stand up to the guy who's just a regular American guy who might be a little right on the side of the road, and he's not a white cracker, and he doesn't have a horse and a whip. It's ridiculous to have the horses in the first place. Just open the border and let everything fall apart. But this reporter will be there, and he will tell us what's happening. And he won't even be there because he's going to be famous. He's going to be in New York. But I loved to watch it, and it was a great day. And it's a nice little change of pace from my usual. Because usually I'm just saying, yeah, we're doomed. Everything they're doing is wrong. They're all evil, satanic monsters. And that's all I say. And so it's nice to have a cheerful thing that, yes, this person's being destroyed in front of everyone. And that's my cheeriness. I mean, look how bad I am. Cheerful at somebody's destruction. But he deserves it. An evil, race-baiting, poverty pimping, victimizing, opportunist of the lowest order, the lowest of the low. So he will be gone soon, physically and, metaphorically. All of his philosophy will be gone. I'm sick of the victimization. You don't like your life, get out of it. Don't get into drugs and gangs. I know that sounds trite, but really, don't get into drugs and gangs. And then you don't need people like Sharpton saving you, because that's not a savior that you want to have. That's not a redeemer. And I think I said a lot. It was right off the top of my head. I think I did pretty good. Nobody will see it, but I got it in early. It'll be big news tomorrow, and you just look at the date and the time I post this. All right. Good night, everybody. Cheerio.